Welcome. So it is the 12th of May 2020. My name is Luke Halford, and for those who joined me today for our first session, this is a review. And for those who didn't join, this is just looking at the main things that we learnt today, and yeah, just whether you want to look back on it or whether you want to learn it in your own time. This will be just a short video talking about what we learned. So I'm just going to turn this down real small so I can leave it on the screen, and later on in the edit maybe I will put some timestamps next to all these things. So we started off our first lesson with a little bit of Mr. Squiggle. So we went ahead and we did some random squiggles just like this, and we looked at them and tried to figure out what exactly they looked like, and making a picture out of them. So to me, this kind of looks like a little crocodile. And doesn't need to be fantastic, doesn't need to look crazy cool or anything. It's just to kind of get yourself thinking of different ways to different creative ways to solve a problem. So the problem is we don't have a full drawing. So how are we going to fix that? By drawing the rest of the drawing, but what is it? So this drawing was of a crocodile, but we just had to figure that out. So we went ahead and did a couple of those, and we'll be doing that each week. At the start of each session, we will do a few squiggles and get ourselves thinking of about what we can do with absolutely nothing. I'll do this a couple of times just to have a bit of play around. And I like drawing my animals and different crazy things, so this one might be a bird, I reckon. Perhaps. Yeah, looks a bit like a bird. Oh yeah, he's got some big crazy eyes, ruffled feathers. And one question that came up is, how do you come up with all these different crazy creatures or different things that you draw? How do you look at the little squiggle and figure out that's what that is? And that was a very good question. And it's a combination of creativity and lots of practice, but it's also looking at the world and looking at the things around you. And I explained that if we have a drink bottle, if you've got your drink bottle on your desk, let me get rid of this. Let me finish this bird. Let me draw this quick bird. Little legs. And he's got little claws. Boop, boop, boop. No, nothing too crazy. You get that as a bird, and you get these got claws. We don't need to make them any more crazy than they are. You understand? That's the main focus of cartooning. We'll get to that in a second. But if you've got your drink bottle on your desk, let's say you've got a drink bottle, keep hydrated and all that. You've got your drink bottle on your desk, and the drink bottle looks. Let me quickly draw a quick drink bottle. And it comes down like this, like this. It's got some lumpy bits on the side and small lumps on the bottom. That's a drink bottle. It's got a little bit. Someone squeezed it and it's popped out some water. So when we look at this drink bottle, it's nothing fantastic, but if we got a squiggle that looked a bit like this, which in actuality, if I draw it alongside, looks a bit like this. Doesn't look like a whole lot of anything. Right. We could probably even make that into a little dude, and he's got his nose and he's got his mouth, hair dude, and ears. But for this explanation, when you're looking at things and you're looking at the world around you, take notice of all the shapes that everything is made of. And if we ever got this as a squiggle, to do as Mr. Squiggle's drawings, we would come down, we would add these little lumps. We would come around and do the same shape on the other side. Do this, and this, this. And there, we've got a drink bottle. So it's less about coming up with something really creative, but it's just realizing the combination of shapes that you see in the squiggle can make up something that you've seen before, and the combination of shapes you've seen somewhere else. And that's what we're really practicing in our Mr. Squiggle exercises that we'll do each week, and get everyone thinking about what shapes do they see around them each week. Now, we then moved on to talking a little bit, as we were talking about the drawing stuff around us, what is cartooning? And cartooning, the way I've learned it and the way I do it, is it's drawing something that might be complex and might be drawing something complex, or drawing something as simple as you can, but still being able to show it to someone else and them to know what you've drawn. So if we were to draw a bird, maybe we'll make it specifically a pigeon. How are we going to make it specifically a pigeon? So they've got ruffled little feathers at their neck, they've got a beak, they've got beady eyes, and they've got, how do pigeons look? They've got this chest, don't they? They've got a bit of a chest, real ruffled feathers, and then hopefully this looks kind of like a pigeon. That's something you'll look up and you'll have a bit of a play around with, and keep looking at pictures of stuff around you, and never think that you've learnt something off by heart, because you can always figure out new ways or different ways to draw it. And yeah. But we could draw that even simpler if we wanted to. I mean, does that look like a pigeon? Hopefully. It looks like a bird, and we know that. So we could probably get rid of these ruffles. Still looks like a bird. We probably can't get rid of the beak, can we? So if we get rid of the beak, well, I guess it does look like a beakless bird, but kind of doesn't look quite right, does it? So to make it look like a bird, it's got to have all the elements of a bird. And cartooning is realizing what parts of something matter and which parts don't matter. And if they do matter, then add them into your drawing. And if they don't matter, you can maybe take them away if you want to. Now, and keep on doing that, and keep on drawing the things that you see and the things around you and what makes them up. And that's what we moved on to next. We moved on to drawing things around us. So one of the girls that was in the class tonight had a drink bottle, and her drink bottle looked if I can recreate it. A bit like, this is very, very hard with no, let's get rid of that. That's what you do. This is what happens when you don't know what shapes you're using. And then you got this, you got this, and that was her drink bottle. Well, we actually had some little lines through here. This is her drink bottle, and what we talked about while we were doing our class was when we're creating this drink bottle, what are the different shapes that it's made out of? So we started on the lid with all the not so complex shapes, and this lid was made of a rectangle. So we had our rectangle bottom, and then we had another rectangle on top. But that's not quite right because we've got to have this angle. So what we did was we've got this rectangle on top, and then let's draw a triangle right here. I mean, it's not a sharp end, so maybe we'll round that a little bit. Round it a little bit, and look, it's just a rounded triangle on top of a square. Let's get rid of these lines in here, and that's our shape. Let me fix this up. Let me try and get this looking nice. Now, and then I have this little bit popping out the edge, and that's not much of a shape. It's kind of just it's a bit of an arch. You can draw that however you want. Just a little boop. And then we have this little square on the back. Nothing too much. Now this is where it comes in, where funky stuff comes in. So we look at this here, and this isn't any one shape, is it? It's not really a combination of two shapes or anything. It's its own shape. But what we did was to fix this problem was we went ahead, and it almost looks like there's a circle in here. And there's another circle in here too. Like they're bursting out and they're inside like a bag or something. So we went ahead and we drew a circle, if I can draw a circle. And then we went and we got went and put that head and brought it around the circle. And then I'm going to have to move this because I've once again run out of space, just like during the class. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller, and I'm going to move it up. And then we had another red circle down here. That's a bit not quite right. And you can draw a line down the middle if you want to get it correct, if you want to get it really right, but it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter too much as long as people get what you're trying to draw. And we're kind of looking at, so we draw this second circle, and we were like, where do we go in this middle part? Where do we go in here? That's kind of uncharted territory. There's nothing in there, there's nothing guiding us. We could try and do that, but unless you want to sit there for a while trying to figure it out, let's just make that uncharted territory a little bit smaller. So let's draw another circle. Almost looks like a little basketball in the middle. So we've got another little circle there, and let's go ahead and bring this down and just touch the edge of it before going back out to here. We'll do that on both sides. And now we'll come down, we'll go all the way to the bottom, and then we'll add a little bit more. And then we'll add this little box squishy thing down there. We'll add a line across because that's nice. Clean this all up. Oh, I've made a bit of a mess, haven't I? Yes, I have. That's okay. We're just practicing. We can get this right over many tries, and art's just all about failing over and over and over again until you finally get one failure that you don't mind looking at, because you can always get better. Never going to get perfect. Never ever going to be perfect, but it'll look good and people can realize what you're drawing. So now we've got these fat snakes. We're not going to really care about. We're just going to make sure they kind of follow the lines, the outside lines, like that. And there we go. We've got a drink bottle. It looks like a drink bottle, and we have succeeded. Drink bottle, tick, all done. And we did a few more practices of this and had a bit of a look around at what we could draw, and I told people to have a bit of a look at what they wanted to draw. And that's what we did for the class. And I might just bring up one more thing before I end this video. And what happens when you have got something that doesn't really look that spectacular? It's a shape, but you know, how do you know what it is? I use my glasses case. So we did the usual. There's two triangles, but they're more quarter circles on the side, and I rounded around the edges. I'm going to draw this nicely for everyone. So they're kind of like triangles, triangle quarter circles, rounded edges, and then we joined it up side to side. And then it doesn't look like much. I know that's the shape of my glasses case, but right now it doesn't look like much. So what we're going to do is we're going to add, maybe even if you can't see it, even if it's not that big for you to look at, we're going to add that the bit where it opens and closes. I'm just going to, it opens and closes. And then, so people know what it is, add a little bit of specificity. So a little bit of little complex thing that only this thing has. So mine has Specsavers written on it. I don't need to draw it. You can hardly see it. I'm going to center this because it doesn't need to be perfect, but let's just make it nice looking. Specsavers. And most people know that that's a glasses company. If they didn't, then they could look it up and they could figure it out. But otherwise, that now looks like a glass case. And then I could maybe add a little bit of shading, and we'll talk about shading in another week. But now that looks like more like a glass case, doesn't it? And it's drawing as simple as possible, drawing something as simple as possible, but little specificities, just like on this bird. Now make it a chook. It's now a chicken, because only chickens have these little frills. Now it looks like a chicken. So it's adding little things that make it stand out for what it is. And even if you can't see it on the object you're creating, maybe you can just add a little specificity that might not be on there, but it will make it look like the thing you're wanting to draw. But yeah, keep on seeing shapes in everything you look at and you want to draw, and join me again next week for another review or another lesson on cartooning. Good night. Have a good week and see you next Tuesday. Bye. How do I stop this?